Hi everybody, it's Alexanis and today I'm gonna review for you the head Prestige MPL. Let's go. So before you click off this video because you're like, hey, the Prestige is unusable, this is not a racket for me, let me talk about the specs and then you can decide if this racket is made for you or not. Then I'm gonna go on the court, and finally, if you're still on the video, then I'm gonna give my final rating. So let's see how many of you stick until the end of the video, and you might be surprised because this racket is maybe made for you. Let's see. So even though it's a head Prestige, so a really control oriented racket, the specs are pretty interesting. So you have a 99 square inch head size with a 16 by 19 string pattern, and you have a non-strung weight of 300 grams. This racket is strung with head links, tour at 50 pounds. Let's go on the court. If you're looking to buy some tennis products online, then I have a great news for you. You can use the code ALEXTENNIS to have 10% off your next purchase on Tennis Zone. Thanks to them for making this video possible, and let's go back. On the court with the head Prestige MPL, the first thing that I felt I was kind of surprised is the fact that this racket is actually playable for Prestige. Usually I have a lot of fun playing with head Prestige, but you feel like it's too hard to play games or whatever. But this one was game ready from the get-go without any customization, because you have a good amount of power due to the stability, but obviously a lot of control. But the head size is not that small, you know, because it's a 99 square inch head size. The unstrung weight is not unplayable. So you have all the benefit from playing with a Prestige, but combined with all the benefit from playing with, let's say, a blade. So this racket is easily comparable to, like I said, like a Wilson blade. And so I just felt like this racket was a big surprise for me, because the Prestige feeling is one of the best. You feel like the racket is solid, you feel the ball entering the string bed, but usually it comes with a tough racket. But this one is, yes, tough, but not the toughest racket that I've tried. So I highly recommend you to try this one. Obviously at the net it really stands out. At the serve usually I have a lot of problem with Prestige. This one was not insane, but it was okay. So I mean, that's a big surprise for me. A great all-around racket, usable too. So if you want to have a lot of feel when you're playing, I definitely recommend you to demo this racket, that's for sure. So I was really surprised by how this racket react, because when I took out this racket of Tennis Zone, I was like, okay, it's gonna be Prestige, it's gonna be still unusable because, you know, it's a pretty classic line. I've tried the Pro, I've tried the Tour before, and it's quite a hard racket, quite a niche racket. But when I found out that the specs of this racket was, you know, it's pretty user-friendly, I was kind of hyped to try this racket, and I was wondering if people were just not thinking about this racket because it was a Prestige. But you might be one of the people that are like me, like not really watching the specs of the Prestige and then being surprised that this racket is kind of user-friendly. So how did it play? It played incredibly well, really comparable to a head Radical, comparable to a Wilson blade, even maybe a Pro Staff 97L, a Percept. So yes, this racket is definitely overlooked. This racket is definitely made for people who want to have control, but that still want to play from the baseline, but still want to have some great feel when you're going at the net. So this racket is definitely an incredible racket to play doubles, that's for sure. But I feel like a lot of you could benefit from playing with this racket, because yes, it's control oriented. It's quite hard to play with, that's for sure. That's a Prestige, but it's not unplayable, definitely not. And you know, when I was doing this review, I was testing this racket along with the Blade 104, and so yes, there's a big gap between those two rackets, but I didn't felt like the head size was small, you know, even though I was going through an oversized racket and a 99 square inch head size. So all this to say that, you know, this racket is definitely easier than you think. The thing that I like with this racket is that even though it's usable, you still feel like this racket is definitely solid. Especially in the handle, you feel like you're really connected to the racket, and that's really fun. Now, let's go with the rating. In terms of control, like I said, it's obviously really great, so I'll have to go with 8 out of 10. Definitely a control-oriented racket. In terms of power, you might be surprised, but I'll have to go with 6 out of 10, which is not that bad compared to the other rating that I gave to the other Prestige. Normally I was giving like 3, 4 out of 10. 6 out of 10 is quite good. It's not a powerful racket by any means, but it's still okay. In terms of feel, obviously that's a Prestige, so it's incredible. So I'll have to go with 9 out of 10 because, you know, the feel is definitely great. You feel just connected to the racket due to the beam, due to, yeah, all those kind of things that makes you want to still play with a Prestige, even though it's hard. In terms of spin, it's not a stands out, but it's definitely not hurting the racket just like the Tour or just like the Pro. So I'll have to go with 5.5 out of 10. That's definitely not a spin monster, but it's still okay. So I would recommend you to try this racket if you're playing with a blade, if you're playing with a Radical, if you're playing with a 97L, a Pro Staff 97L, because you might be surprised by this racket. Obviously I would recommend this racket more to flat hitter, because like I said, you know, in terms of spin, it's nothing that is really incredible, but it's still really fun and enjoyable to play with. I think that the future of the Prestige line is just over here with that model, because for me, the Pro, the Tour, the MP are quite some hard racket to play with, but this one is definitely the easiest to play with. Again, thanks to Tennyson for letting me borrow this racket. Without them, it would not have been possible. Don't forget to like, to comment, and to subscribe, and see you next time. Bye bye.